ArizonaHotHomestead here. And this video is part of a collaboration with 7 other YouTubers, so 8 of us total. And I wanted to give a big thanks to Ozark Off-Grid family for putting together this collaboration. It's about things that you've learned in your first year of homesteading. And so just to kind of give you guys an idea of who's part of this, Life in Farmland has already gone. Teal House Farm was yesterday. I am today, third one on the list. And tomorrow, Homestead Tessie, Ozark Off-Grid Family, then Mainely Acres, Rain Country Homestead, and Cog Hill Farm and Homestead. And even though we're each scheduled each day, granted there may be a hiccup along the way and someone may not be able to get published exactly that time, but we're hoping to get it really in a timely manner. So I'll put a link down below of to everyone's channel there so you can check them all out. And I know Life in Farmland said something that he was going to do a playlist and put everyone in that playlist, which is pretty cool. So in fact I may actually do the same thing, kind of copy him on that, but basically it's be a good idea, that way you can watch everyone. And then I do recommend that if you're not already a subscriber to all 8 of us, go ahead and subscribe to us. What's going to be really neat, I think, about this what we've learned in the first year of homesteading is every one of us does homesteading slightly different. And since we all do it slightly different, you're going to get some really different ideas as to what your first year may be like. So it's great entertainment, and then if you really want to maybe start your own farm or homestead, this is going to give you some really good ideas. What you're up against in your first year. So just to give you guys a quick background on me, just to set things up, I am incredibly new. Basically, I have not quite finished my 2nd year, so I am just getting all the basics down, and so really everything is fresh for me. My goal is to become off-grid and to create a homestead. So I've got all my chickens and rabbits and gardening and maybe even some goats and some others, so that I can be as self-sufficient as possible part of that process. It's a little windy today, so if you hear some wind, kind of forgive me on that. I can't control that wind, so I tried to do the video inside and the lighting just was awful. So my 4 top things I've learned my first year off-grid or my first year homesteading is this. Number 4, budget. Expect to go over budget on everything. Whatever you do, plan for it to be 2, 3, 4 times more than what you're expecting. And here's what I came across. I live like 80 miles from town. That means I burn about 5 gallons of gas because I only get 15 miles on the gallon. I burn 5 gallons of gas every time I go in town. So if I have to go in town for 1 or 2 parts just to finish something, that's that added cost that's involved. Now granted, when you go to town, you buy all your materials to do whatever it is you're doing, you try to think of everything. But as you're putting it together, you're also thinking, what if? Oh, what if I also do this? I can add this to it, and it'll make it even better. Or it gives me more flexibility, or it gives me other options, or whatever. And so you're always trying to think outside the box when you do things to make your life easier later on. And plus, even when you're planning things, you may be thinking, well, gee, I wanted to do this. And then as you get going with it, well, your plans may change. And even your original plans to do it one way, you find out later, well, that's not going to work. I got to do it this way. So it's not just your trips in; it's everything else adds up. Life isn't perfect, and so your costs are going to be different. And number 3, the third top thing that I've learned on my first year of homesteading is get to know your land, to be intimate with your property. Get to know how the sun shines on your property. In the northern hemisphere, the north side of everything is shady. So get to know how that sun during the different times of the year actually reflects on that north side. Get to know how snow and rain and the contour of your land, your low spots and the spots that end up being soggier than others after a rainstorm or a snow melt, and when your ground is really saturated, how the water flows on it. After my first summer, I had a lot of rain, and I had put down some rock for a driveway and a few walking areas, but I couldn't walk anywhere because I didn't put enough rock around. But after those rains, I really learned what to look out for, because I noticed the water kind of flowing into certain areas, and I'm like, wow, I'm going to have a problem with this. I got to create some little berms or something around there to help control some of the flow of the water. So just that little bit of knowledge now is going to matter going forward. Plus also even which way the storms come. Most of my storms and winds, they all come from the southwest. So they blow in through that way. So that kind of matters. So you kind of get to know about the true effects of your wind and storms and your weather on where it comes from and things like that. So to get to know your property. The second number 2 on the list of the top things that I've learned in my first year of homesteading is be patient. Just relax. Stop what you're doing. You're going to be eager. You're going to be excited. You're going to be gung-ho. You're going to want to, why not just get it done now? Well, that wind is something else today. And just stop and just relax. Get a bunch of piece of paper and sketch out your property. Put down the trees and all this, and then see exactly where you want everything. Make sure that the flow of your property is good. If you're going out, to maintain your rabbits and your goats and your chickens and pigs, if that's what you're doing, and cattle or whatever it is that you're doing in your garden, how does that thing flow? You want to make sure that you got a nice flow of everything. You want to make sure that the way that the sun's going to shine on your property, that you put your greenhouse in the right location, and even the way that you set up your garage and or carports or your front door and all that, where the way that the sun is shining, where the storms are coming. So by sketching it out, you can rearrange things a lot. So just be patient with some of it. You don't want to do something and then find out, well, that's not what I want, and you got to redo it. That just costs more money. Wasted time, basically. And the number one thing that I've learned in my first year homesteading, the top one is community, networking. Whatever you do, if you're not doing the YouTube thing, or regardless of if you're doing YouTube thing, you need to network with local community. First off, on the YouTube thing, be sure to subscribe to all of us. So if you're watching all these videos for the first year homesteadings on this collaboration, be sure to subscribe to all of us. It's going to be interesting to see what we all got to say, and to be able to follow our journeys, and to be able to kind of compare. It's going to be interesting, but it's also going to be cool because we can get feedback off of each other. So building that YouTube community is important. This is one of the reasons why that I'm doing these videos, is to not only give back and be able to share something to you guys who aren't YouTube creators or aren't homesteaders. It gives you a reality TV show, if you will, but also it's a way for me to learn some things. I can now build a relationship with those that are also YouTube creators that are doing very similar things as myself, and I can bounce ideas off of them, and they can do the same thing with me, and we can help each other out a little bit. And so building that community is fantastic. So as far as your local community goes, you also have to have that. A great example, in fact, I did a video about propane service. I am 2 miles from the nearest utility of anything. So I'm totally off grid. Now I do have propane that comes in, but what I've learned is that companies provide different service, obviously. And if I would have been not put in my propane as fast as I did, if I would have waited, for an example, got to know some more of the community, ask around on who people really use, I would have found out that this company that I chose is a big time company, but they don't provide a really good service. I could have went with someone else and had better service. And that's what I've done. So by getting to know some people in the local community, you learn little things, even little things like talent, skills. You know, I don't know how to weld. I don't know how to. I don't have like a backhoe or any kind of earth moving equipment, but now I know people. So now maybe they come and they do a favor for me, so it doesn't cost me anything. Or maybe I do pay them a few dollars, or maybe I go and I do some work for them. So we end up helping each other out. So it ends up becoming a win-win situation, and it saves you a lot of money and a lot of hassle too. So the number one reason was, or the number one thing that I've learned is to build that community, build that relationship with the locals, if you will. You'll definitely benefit from it. And then really just to finish it all off, what would I change knowing what I know now? Well, this kind of ties all of them really in together, and that is I put up a garden shed, and where I put it is a perfect location. However, it's not perfect when I put in the greenhouse, because now the height of that and the way the sun sets in the winter, it's so low in the sky in the winter that it's going to provide too much shade over my greenhouse. So where I was going to put my greenhouse, now I got to move it, and now it's not going to be as convenient. So if I would have paid attention, if I would have got to know my land a little bit better, if I would have been more patient, and then I would have swapped those two around, and it would have made a big difference. So that's what I definitely would have changed, as well as all the things I learned. There's a little bit about each one of those. So, but that's my my top things I learned my first year of homesteading. And be sure to check out everyone. I guess this puts Homestead Tessie, you are on the clock, and she will be tomorrow. Hopefully she's got it up and running for tomorrow. And check her out. Like I said, I'll put a link to everyone down below so that you can check out their channels. And I think it's a fantastic idea. And again, thank you to Ozark Off-Grid family for putting this together. This is a fantastic idea. So, guess I'll see you guys on the next video.